the kids are like, that's like a 5% chance of winning, Dad. They're like, Well, how you doing, Miss Diane? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Great.
You doing anything fun this weekend, Diane?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun. My husband just had knee surgery, so I've been a servant this week, and he's doing great though. But you know, that scar's ugly, isn't it?
Is he starting to feel better already?
Yes, he is. It's really been 3 weeks, so this is his 3rd week, so he's doing a lot better.
So is it the first knee or the second knee?
First knee.
Okay.
He had to wait 2 years to get it because you know what? Your A1C has to be good.
You guys going to see family for Memorial Day? Everybody coming over or do anything?
Are you asking me? Yeah, not really. No, I think Rob needs to stay home and rest.
No, certainly. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So our speaker today has kind of the skeletal crew. So you may have been talking about that before I joined. The week before the race is kind of like Christmas vacation for Hoosiers, where what's better than the office? Being at the track. So we appreciate your time joining us today, but this is kind of the like New Year's Eve in Indianapolis. So thanks for Miss Kelly for getting the PowerPoint organized today, and thanks to Miss Kelly for everything she's doing the past couple months. I hear our former Louisiana Kiwanian Wendy Paddock is at lunch today with Miss Taylor, and we may see some of those pictures later on in the presentation. But Miss Rogena, our Kiwanis office administrator, club executive assistant, had recently retired in end of March after 10 years with our club. So it ended up being kind of a last minute hiring process, getting Miss Kelly Olis trained up. But with her resume, we're just throwing it all at her and see what sticks. And she's doing a great job. We appreciate all her hard work. So I'm not sure what they're doing in District 8B, but for us, we'd been via Zoom the last 15 months and just starting to get back into in-person meetings. So as we're looking at our June agenda, Thursday, June 3rd will be in person, and then we've got a couple more in-person meetings for former Mayor Bart Peterson, and then Governor Holcomb is going to join us in person at the Columbia Club the second half of the month. So as everyone's getting vaccinated, we're all excited to start seeing each other again in person. So Kiwanis recognizes May as membership month. Wanted to remind everybody that we do have our membership challenge. Rogena, I learned early on in politics that the best way to win people over is through bribery. So we are putting up a 55-inch TV to the person who brings in the most new members for this calendar year. Currently, it is Graham Honecker with 3 or 4 new members. So please, Graham has enough positive attention with all the Butler ties in his new book. So if someone could dethrone Graham, I might round up a bigger TV for that. This week, we've got a couple membership anniversaries. John Reddington, 17 years, and George Wild from Gelser at 10 years. So thank you both to your participation and tenure and enthusiasm. Our golf outing is a great way to reconnect this summer. We are extending early bird registration rates through June. We are at 10 foursomes right now. There's about 40 people, which is fantastic. If you don't golf, but you know someone who golfs, please consider getting them an early Christmas present. So our firm, Don and I, have put up $2,500 towards a membership for a $5,000 pledge as part of the renewed legacy campaign. So the golf outing, we're trying to raise $15,000, and we appreciate everybody's participation in the past. And so far, the foundation board has met and increased the goal of the legacy campaign from 105,000 to 150,000 by the end of the year. So if you are solicited for the golf outing but don't golf, please consider making a donation this summer. The community needs us as much as ever. The Kiwanis Foundation provides annual grants up to $2,500 to support programs that serve the children and youth in the city of Indianapolis. Programs should be designed to directly improve quality of life through activities that promote health, education, and encourage youth leadership and service. Rogena, I saw you were a Key Club advisor. I'd been a K-Kids advisor, and like you've seen, encouraging that leadership and philanthropy in the younger generations is really rewarding. So last year we awarded $29,000 to 12 deserving community organizations, and it's a nice way to bring positive attention to our club also. Do I see Trina Raudebush on the line? I will just kind of walk through some of our grant recipients then. Camptown, $1,200 grant for youth leadership. It's a series of basic outdoor programs open to 5th to 12th graders. Crystal House, $2,500 grant for interrupting racism workshop. And the Crystal House is going to be a focus of Mayor Bart Peterson's presentation also, as he's on the board there. Trina had an emergency. No, certainly. Miss Kelly, would you like to speak to any of this? Silence is a virtue, Kelly. I like that. So we'll keep moving along. Miss Woods Mitchell, I'm going to let you do your own introduction today. Looks like Trina was supposed to do your introduction. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit about yourself, how you became involved with Kiwanis International, how you came about speaking today. I appreciate you unmuting yourself. That's a good start to a presentation. But no, certainly. So Rogena, Trina Raudebush is our president-elect and wears many hats in our organization. She's the program director and is one of those ideal members who really is a 500-hour a year member. So for her to be out today, it's a shame. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet her, but I'll turn that over to today's speaker. Again, if you wouldn't mind just giving a brief introduction about yourself, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Mr. President, I want you to know that I don't want you to get upset or offended or worried about the attendance today. We call that in the Episcopal Church Low Sunday, and it's the Sunday after Easter. So don't worry about that at all. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Rogena Mitchell, I have been in the Kiwanis family since 2006. And throughout that time, I've, just like many of you, served various positions from club president to lieutenant governor. And technically right now, I am our district trustee, which I'm really jazzed about because that's one step to governor. Woo-hoo! But throughout my Kiwanis experience, I've learned quite a bit about leadership, but I've also learned about how to work with people. And I think that has really been kind of a stepping stone to my career at Kiwanis International. At Kiwanis International, I am a club opening specialist. That's a fancy term for I help Kiwanians decide that they want to be Kiwanians and form a club to help their community out. So I work with districts all over the Kiwanis sphere to really help them to open up new clubs, figure out how to grow their own membership, and really to kind of live out our Kiwanis motto, and that's really improving the lives of kids. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you today, whether it's Low Sunday or not. Oh, are you expecting me to talk now? Is this? I'm like, all right, so something else is going to happen now. I'm just sitting here. Gotta love technology. So let me go ahead and share my screen then.
There we go.
So that
Great.
we can get that going. Sorry. Let's see here. So I don't know what we can see of my screen yet. You'll have to tell me.
So we can see your slide deck and it is now up and full.
Super. Thank you, Miss Nancy. Everybody needs a Miss Nancy. I don't know if y'all appreciate Miss Nancy, but I already appreciate her. So there you go.
I'll consider Nancy a good thing. I'm Jamie, but nice to finally meet you. And Nancy rocks too.
She does. So again, good afternoon, Downtown Indy Club. I'm really excited about sharing a little bit today with you about membership. In particular, how our organization's membership has really faced the challenges of this pandemic head on, and how we continue to move that momentum forward. So let's talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, let's do a little walk down memory lane. Now, I'm going to tell you something that may catch you by surprise. I'm going to tell you anything today that's earth-shattering. Nothing mind-blowing, nothing immensely innovative. So I apologize for that in advance. But I truly believe that in order for a concept to be transformative, and I mean really, really transformative, statistics say that you've got to really be presented with that concept on average 5 to 7 times, right? And if you're me, you're gonna need it more. So for someone like me, that's where I am. So that just reminded me of elementary school. How many of us remember sitting down, writing our numbers, and our teacher making us trace those numbers over and over and over again, trying to figure out how to write that 6 and that 8 and get both of those holes to connect, right? So why do we do that? We did that because we had a wise teacher who knew that we were going to need to figure out what numbers were and what they represented in our lives, because we're going to need them for the rest of our lives. So that's why we wanted to walk down this little memory lane. But what does that mean for us in our Kiwanis world? Well, first of all, membership numbers count. And so in order for us to really make them count, we got to figure out what they represent to us. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. One thing as we've gone through this pandemic that's been a real testament to our Kiwanis family legacy is that our organization has really continued to work together, not only to provide our clubs with resources and assistance and guidance, but we're also reminded of how integral our membership is to our communities. We together initially really assessed what that pandemic's effect we're going to have on our members and our communities, right? Our staff actually, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but our staff actually made personal phone calls to each and every club secretary and each and every club president throughout the Kiwanis sphere. But it was much more than really just assessing where our clubs were. We really needed to have a family check, find out how our family was doing. And that's because we are all family. Our numbers are not just strikes on a piece of paper. Our numbers mean something. They're our friends, they're our neighbors, they're our coworkers, they're our family. And what we found when we did that assessment was that some clubs really were struggling to keep it together. And they were just concerned about the uncertainty regarding the effects of the virus on their fellow Kiwanis family members. But they were also clubs that that took that opportunity, kind of like Henry Ford, they took that opportunity to think differently. They formed partnerships with organizations that they'd never formed partnerships with before. And they also kind of redirected their service initiatives to meet the immediate needs of those that are hardest hit by COVID-19. Because coming together is really the beginning. Keeping together is the progress, but working together consistently and continuously really is what success is all about. So with that said, why is membership important? Why is it important? We must ask ourselves this question, not just once, not just during the pandemic, but over and over and over again. Why is membership important anyway? Well, okay, like our president said, it's membership month, and that's important. We're gonna sing that until we can't sing it anymore. But it's really because, just like Henry Ford said, and I'm going to use the analogy of a car, of a vehicle. If Kiwanis is our car, then what will we need to move forward to do service differently? Well, for a car, unless you have an electric car, and even with that, you need a battery and you need to charge it. But for most vehicles on the road now, you're going to need fuel. And of course, you're going to need fuel to make that car go, right? Cars don't just go without, not for very long anyway. That's what membership is, folks. Membership is our fuel. That's what keeps our clubs going. That's what keeps our clubs involved in our communities. And that's what keeps our club together. It's our fuel. And we can't get our Kiwanis car moving without that. We can't do it. So we've got our members, right? We've got members. I mean, you look at your club and you've got what, 139 so far. And I looked at the numbers this morning. I mean, that's an awesome number. But like Henry Ford said, and we've really heard this quite often as we talk to clubs throughout the pandemic, and you've kind of heard a similar quote as this one. If you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. But we've learned during the pandemic that we have got to think differently. Unlike any other time in recent history, can we honestly say that our club now can go anywhere we want to go? Think about that. This is an opportunity to reset, reevaluate, and rethink our club's mission, our club's focus, and yes, our club's membership. But wait, I know you're sitting there thinking, look, Rogena, we've got 139 members strong, right? Yeah, we don't need to do anything differently. We're good. We're good. Well, I'm gonna tell you, Henry Ford said it differently. And in that perspective, you know, we may have to really go over where we want to go as a club, where we want to go as an organization. That perspective of doing it the same way may have been fine 2 years ago. It really wasn't, don't get me wrong. But the second thing that the pandemic has taught us is that we cannot do the same thing the same way over and over and over again. Either it's not going to work, we've learned that in the pandemic, it's not going to work, or it just isn't sustainable. So take our meetings, for example. You know, government mandated that, you know, we couldn't meet in public in a group. So what did you guys do? You guys went to Zoom. That's why we're here today, is because you thought differently. There's still clubs out there that haven't adopted that. They're still thinking of doing it always the same way. And so I applaud you for your efforts in really making that happen. You know, a year, 2 years ago, if we had thought about the whole concept of Zoom, it would have been what the sound a car makes, right? As it's revving up. Now, Zoom has a whole different meaning for us. And that's because you had the courage, and other clubs like you had the courage to think, where do we want to go from here? And let's make that happen. So now we've seen this time and time again, right? Clubs that are thriving are those that genuinely understand that it's their members. It's their members that we find the energy to serve our communities. You can have all the money you want. You can write all the checks you want. But if you don't have members to actually engage the community, it's really not going to have the same impact as it would if you were boots on the ground actually doing things in the community. You know, it's in our members that we find inspiration. It's in our members that we keep moving forward, and it's really in our members that we find the power to change, to do things differently. So what matters to you? What matters to your members? You know, when the last time the club did an assessment, when was the last time the club did an assessment? You know, what matters to your club members? Because I'm gonna tell you this, more often than not, you know, your club members need to be served just like the community does. Yes. And so we need to find out what it is they want from their Kiwanis experience. That may be very different now than it was pre-pandemic. So we got to check with them, check in, do an assessment. Or are your members simply the downtown club because it's the downtown club? Has your club seen an increase or a decrease in membership? Do you know why? Folks, this is the time to really ask ourselves these questions. If we haven't as a club, this really is the time to do that. Ask the tough questions. You know, those questions are the ones that we've been asking in our membership department at the staff for the last 2 years, the last year and a half at least. And we've been asking those questions because we generally want to help our district leaders and help our club leaders be successful in spite of the challenges that they're facing. The pandemic has given us a proverbial do-over, I want to call it. It's given us a do-over. The sky is the limit as it relates to our clubs now and what we want to do. Our strategies, our ideas, our suggestions, I mean, all of those things can be different. We just need to determine what matters to us. So, more is more. More really is more. You know, when we realize what matters to our individual members and to us ourselves as club members, you know, numbers really are extremely important. At the beginning of this month, we had a membership of 100,000, the top number, 188,189 people in our Kiwanis family. And we've opened about 124 clubs. And that's to be commended in a pandemic, no doubt. But we still need more. More hearts for service, more ideas for service projects, and more hands that are willing to roll up their sleeves and be authentic change makers that I know we can be. I mean, that's really what Kiwanis is about, right? But what are the benefits of more? What are the benefits of having more members? Well, I don't have to tell you guys this. I'm preaching to the choir here, but if your club is +1 net now, get to +5 by the end of the month. Do that. It's real simple. I know we say it's hard. It's really simple. You just open your mouth and ask. Ask them to be a part of the premier service organization that focuses on improving the lives of kids every day. That's what Kiwanis is about, man. We got to get excited again about what it is we do. We can't just pay our dues every year and just think, okay, I'm done with this life. I'm just going to write a check and move on. No, we've got to get re-engaged. We've got to re-excited, and we've got to remember what it is that brought us here in the first place. So what are our benefits? I don't have to tell you the benefits of service. How great is it when you feel that you've done something for somebody else? But sometimes we just need to be reminded of how that feeling is. And sometimes we need to share that feeling with others so that they can have that experience as well, right? You know, how often, for some of you who don't know, I'm in seminary. So one day I'm going to be a priest. I don't know when that one day is, but one day I'm going to be a priest. So I often think about what are the benefits for people coming on Sunday and putting their cheeks in the seats, right? That's what we call them, cheeks in the seats. But it's not just about a warm and fuzzy. It's not. It's about the feeling that the other person gets who's receiving the service that we provide. We truly can change children's lives. I mean, we say it in our defining statement all the time, improving our communities one child at a time. We say that, but do we believe it? Is our service looking like that? That's where the true benefit is, to remind ourselves about how important our role is as Kiwanians. Because all of the places we will go when we embrace how amazing we are in this Kiwanis family and the wonderful things that we can do, holy smokes, oh, the places our club can go. I mean, once I've heard that, you know, we don't know where we're going. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. I heard that once and I thought that was the coolest thing because it's so true. Any road will take you. So our clubs have to decide, your club has to decide, where do you want to go in the next 100 years? The groundwork can be laid right now. Now you're going to hit some bumps along the way. We're going to have a COVID-19 or a hurricane or a windstorm or whatever. I live in Mississippi, so hurricanes are a real deal Holyfield thing for me. So you're going to have something. But if you have a general focus, your club's going to be amazing and continue to do amazing things in your community. Because that's what it's all about. Charting our course for the next 100+ years. Oh, the places we will go. Now, as I mentioned to you today at the outside, you know, I'm not going to tell you anything new. There's nothing innovative I've got, but sometimes we just really need to be reminded of how awesome Kiwanis is. I think sometimes we've gotten into we go to our meetings, we do our thing. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. Kind of like church, right? Okay, no, it's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be invigorating because that is the energy that we need to take to the community. They'll take your check. I ain't gonna lie, they'll take your check. But dude, if you get on the floor with that kid and read and really impact their life, it's gonna mean something to them for years and years to come when that check's gone 50 times. So I just want you to know that I appreciate your time today. I do thank you for the opportunity to share. I don't know if you realize that I'm kind of jazzed about being in Kiwanis, and I'll tell you the story. When I was a senior in high school, I received a college scholarship from this Kiwanis club. I didn't know what the world Kiwanis was. Had no clue. I was like, what, Kiwanis? I didn't come up from that legacy of Kiwanis land, you know, where your grandfather was a Kiwanian and your dad. I didn't come from that. So I didn't know anything about Kiwanis. I just knew that these white guys at this lunch meeting gave me some money to go to college. And they invested in me and they didn't even know me. And so I made a vow at that point that I don't know what that club looks like. I don't even care what that club looks like. When I graduate from college, if I move back home, I'm joining that club because they saw something in me that I didn't even know was there myself. And so I did. Ended up being the president of the club and worked my way up the ranks, as I mentioned earlier. But that was the thing that really was the catalyst for me. I want you guys to all remember what that thing is, that thing that brought you here. And that's the thing that's going to keep us down that road on the right track. Vroom, vroom, get your motor running, all of that. So thank you for the chance to speak today. And if you have questions, feel free. I don't know what, but if you have them, share.
Yeah, certainly. So we're going to really pick your brain.
Oh, gosh.
One of the questions was what tips you've heard on retaining membership, and then the second part would be what are some of the reasons that you've heard about that people are leaving. If you're going into the church, some of that habitual decline, that subtle decline, and people are going to church a little less frequently, a little less people are going to church. I mean, the last time I saw a review of some of these engagements, it seems that hospitals and universities are increasing in participation and endowment. But yeah, really just the what you've read about and heard the last couple of years, tips for retaining membership, and then what you've heard, reasons people are leaving.
So I will hit the first thing about retention first. I think that one of the things that we Kiwanians forget about is, and I alluded to it earlier, is ourselves. We're so focused on helping the community, and that's why we're here, right? But we've forgotten about our club members need serving too. So during the pandemic, I've heard of some clubs that actually adopted a member. Remember back in the day when you brought a member into the club and you sponsored them? Okay, we don't even talk about that anymore, but it's on the back of the application. You put your name and all of that. So, and you were responsible for that person. You were supposed to really engage them and take them to lunch, take them to coffee, and really share what Kiwanis was about, indoctrinate them into the family. Well, we don't do that anymore, but I think it's time to go back to that. Go back to checking on those members that you've sponsored. Don't just bring them into the club and say, figure it out, or we have an orientation for that. No, you take it upon yourself to really go out and visit with them. The second thing, some of our clubs have really adopted their members in a way that's been helpful for them for a lot of health reasons. So, for example, if you've got some members that have really been dealing with health issues, COVID issues, that kind of thing, checking on your members. Hey, do you need me to go to the pharmacy and check on you? Do you need me to go pick up some groceries for you? I mean, it's just the simple stuff to make your club members feel like they really are part of the family. So first and foremost, I think if we really treated our club members, our club family members, like we do the community, our club members would stay. Now, there's some that are going to move, things are going to happen in people's lives, and you can't change that. But I think it's important that we spend some time to really love on our members. And I do believe that's going to make them want to stay and find value in their membership. So now the second question was, why are people leaving? Well, I mean, I alluded to that just a second ago. I mean, people are leaving for various reasons. However, how many clubs are doing an exit interview?
You're right.
I mean, they're leaving for a reason. We've got to find out what that reason is so that we can, improve if improvement needs to happen. So I recommend that clubs do exit interviews. First of all, and you do that for your professional life, right? Why not do it for your Kiwanis life? Do that. But also, if it's a financial issue, without embarrassing them, I mean, really find out, hey, can you and me and my friend get together? Let's just pitch in and pay for her membership. Or let's just pitch in and pay for, her lunch or whatever, because we need her in the club and we want her to know that her membership is valid. And so those are two things that I think we really need to focus on. Just really trying to keep our members and not let them go. I mean, we can get 100 members in the door, but if 50 go out the back door, what was the point of that, right? We're still, 50. We didn't gain a whole lot. So making sure that those folks don't go out the back door by engaging them, getting them involved in stuff. There's one club that in my district, they have a new members club. It's kind of like a subset of the club, and they have little pins for them, class of 2021 or whatever. And their club actually has in their budget some funds for that new club, that new group, the new class, to do a service project. That group comes up with a service project. They do the service project. The club helps fund it. But for legacy purposes, for leadership purposes, that club also has a person from that new members group that's part of the board. So you're getting information from new members that can help your club stay vital and stay important and really stay connected with those new members so they don't leave. I hope that was helpful.
Got two questions, or I guess one question and a comment.
Yes.
One of the challenges we've had is getting any type of media promotion of things that we're doing. And I guess, bad news sells, so we're not really in that category. But, we do some programs that are really impactful in the community, and we've constantly notified the media. And so if you have any advice there, that'd be great. And then a comment, and this is not meant to be a criticism, but just a suggestion. We're 15 miles from the headquarters here in Indianapolis, and I may be wrong on this. My wife tells me I often am, but I can recall on my hand, or maybe less than, a time when somebody from that office has come to one of our meetings. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the call, but it seems to me sort of getting out there, especially in your backyard, and especially
Right.
one of your clubs that has a pretty high membership. I think being more active, with that office. But anyway, I'll stop and listen.
No, Graham, that's so valid. I do have that issue with our district office, and I'm in Mississippi, so my district is Lomiston, Louisiana, Mississippi, West Tennessee, and I'm on my district secretary all the time. Have you been to the Birmingham, this club? Have you been to this club? Have you been to this club? Because we're paying you, right? So I'm not scared to say, hey, I'm paying you. I do expect you to come and visit me now and again. Show me some love. So, Graham, I wouldn't be scared to just call up and say, hey, why y'all ain't coming to check on us? We pay dues too. Put that out there. All right. So second thing, and this is probably the most important, I think, does the club have a media person in your club?
We did.
Okay.
I think she resigned, and we haven't really filled the spot. So there's a couple of things. We did get good coverage of the Abe Lincoln Award through Indy Star, so that was kind of nice. So Rogena, one of our signature programs is almost.
I saw it on the Facebook. It's amazing.
Yeah. So that gets pretty good coverage, and then Graham, we may have to go back to KI and kind of welcome them back, quote unquote. When we were doing the Eliminate project, that 3 years turned into 5 years, and there may have been some pushback of may become a little less because you're overshadowing what we were trying to do as an individual club.
Yeah.
We raised, I think it ended up being $300,000 for the Eliminate project with UNICEF. So Graham, to that point, we may just want to roll out the red carpet. So what I'll do, Graham, to your point, is I'll let Jeff Otis know that that's kind of our impression. So we do have the COO of KI as a member.
Club.
Well, beg your pardon?
I said he's a a member of this club, but sometimes we take it for granted that our members are staff people. So yeah, but he's a member. Make him come.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
So,
tell him
no,
I said that because he's my boss.
so then, Regina, another question. Do you see much differences in club memberships, average ages across the country or internationally? So one of the things we have been doing with Zooms this year, since interclubs went away, we're doing Zoom interclubs. So we did one with Tokyo, which was fantastic. So we all took our Ritalin and espresso to stay up until midnight to have a noon call with Tokyo. But that was a blast, seeing what they're doing, seeing the formality of how they operate their club. But no, certainly, if you could just touch on how the international or national demographics differ.
All right, so just to go back to the media thing, yes, bad news sells, but if you do know someone, I mean, your club is 139 people right now. At least some of y'all know somebody that's in the news or on TV or what have you. And so use your connections to try and pull those people into the club. Partner with them on a service project. They're always doing things. The news media, especially our local TV stations, are always doing things in the community. Call them up, say, I heard you're doing this. We'd love to partner with you on that project. Get with them, show them that, hey, they need to be a part of this. So that was the thing. Now, as far as our demographics are concerned, our average age is 60 of our membership in total. Our average new members is 48. Our average age for our new members is 48. Now, in the new club area where I work, that number is a lot lower. The clubs that we open typically will have an average age of 35. But that's because typically the clubs that we're opening, we're utilizing social media a lot. And so those are the folks, that demographic 35 to 55 is really who's on Facebook the most. And so it's about 74% of those folks that are on Facebook. So that's where we're getting our numbers from. So in the club opening front, our numbers are a lot lower, but overall in the Kiwanis land, our average age is 60 and our average new member is 48.
No, thank you very much. And then on, have you seen clubs merging? We've had some clubs shut down and merge into each other. You stated 124 new clubs. If you could just kind of talk on the dynamics of individual clubs working together at that point.
We've got several dynamics that have occurred over the last 2 years as clubs have really tried to, handle the challenges of the pandemic. Some have just buried their head and said, okay, we're going to hold these 10 members and we're just going to wait. We're going to wait it out, right? So those 10 members pay their dues, and they just wait. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they're waiting. And then we have clubs where they realize, look, we don't know if we're going to be able to make this work. So they will either close on their own, or they will reach out to a neighboring club and say, hey, we're going to close, but there's a couple of us that still want to do stuff. So, here's some, 3 to 5 new members, whatever. That's not the largest group. The largest group is they close. And that's the unfortunate part. So when I say we've got 124 new clubs, we've got double that are closing. And that's where we struggle, because we can't keep up with the pace of closing clubs. And a lot of our clubs aren't doing that next step where I said, we're just let's go to this other, club that's nearby, or let's just try to meet on Zoom, or let's try to do things differently. They're not thinking differently. They're doing the same thing the way they've always done it, and they're getting the same result, and they just can't do that in this pandemic era that we live in. But that's what I've seen. I really haven't seen a lot different from that. I've seen a small group of satellite members of clubs where, they don't want to meet at the time that the main club meets, and they don't, have that time to be able to go and do. So they're part of that club, but they meet at a different time and all of that. That's a small part as well. But for the most part, I just see clubs that have said, we're not going to be able to make this work and we're just going to close, unfortunately. I wish I had better news.
So to put you on the spot, where would you like to see Kiwanis in 100 years?
Oh gosh, I want Kiwanis to look like our communities. That is my biggest and will probably always be my main goal. I want our Kiwanis clubs to look like our communities. We often go into, underprivileged communities and help out, and they love it and they're appreciative. But it would be so awesome if our clubs looked like the communities that we serve. One of the things in new club opening that I really, really love is the fact that we get to kind of do that. We get to kind of go into the places, particularly with social media. It's not just picking folks that look like me and sound like me and have the same socioeconomic status as I do. It's stay-at-home moms, it's grannies, it's nonprofits, it's people that are on Facebook that say, hey, I want to help kids. I didn't even know Kiwanis did that. Or I want to join an organization that helps literacy. I'm all about that. And so we get folks from all walks of life, all demographic spectrums that are part of these new clubs. And I dig that. And so my goal is that we continue to do that we continue to look like our communities, continue to ask people to join our clubs that may not sound like us, that may not talk like us, that may not look like us, that may not have the same religion as us, that may not have the same bank account as us. Keep doing that, because our clubs really will thrive, but our communities will see that, hey, we're just like them. And I think that means something. So that's my 100-year goal.
Can you touch on the 3-2-1 approach?
Club model?
The 3 hours of service, 2 hours meeting, an hour network. Could you just kind of touch on how new clubs are amending kind of the 100-year-old tradition to try to either attract and keep new members, that kind of thing?
Well, so 3-2-1 club is really 3 hours of social, 3 hours of service, 2 hours of social, and 1 hour of meeting. Let me say that one more time because I was a little confused. So it's 3 hours of service per month, 2 hours of social time per month, and then 1 hour of meeting per month. And it's the model that I don't know if it's going to be the future of Kiwanis or not. It is attracting a lot of young people, and that's what we need in our organization. But it's not the overarching model. I will say that most of the new clubs that we open are traditional clubs. Now, traditional clubs may only meet twice a month. Understand that. So they're still traditional. They're not 3-2-1, but they may meet twice a month. Well, Kiwanis only requires that we meet once a month, y'all. And so, we got into that. We got to meet every week at noon. We did that. Kiwanis didn't do that to us. We did that to ourselves. And the newer members of the Kiwanis land are like, look, I ain't got time for all of that, but I love kids and I want to do stuff. So you're gonna have to make it convenient for me if you want me to be part of this family. And so that's what we've done. We've all opened this opportunity, as well as internet clubs. We've opened opportunities for people to serve. I think that's a beautiful thing. But what I don't want it to be is a competition between our traditional club setting and our 3-2-1 or our internet club setting, because we are all part of the Kiwanis family. Kumbaya.
I've got one more question. I also happen to be Episcopalian. A great
How was Pentecost for you? I had red nail polish.
Catholic without the guilt. It's a great religion. I'm kind of curious, and I know Kiwanis is non-denominational, but the mission, at least of my church, is there's so many similarities. And I know it's tricky, but is there any initiative or thought to recruiting from churches?
Oh God, yes. My priest is a member of my club. In fact, okay, this is a funny thing because I open clubs, and when I go into communities, this never ceased to amaze me. I'll go in and I'll talk to an Episcopal priest, I'll talk to a Baptist preacher, and I'll talk to a Catholic priest. All right. In their normal settings, they never talk. For some reason, they join Kiwanis clubs and work together. I don't know if it's because they're not on their own turf. I don't know. But I have really seen positivity from getting clergy, or at least vestry members, or boards, deacons boards, or whatever members. They could be a corporate member just like a business. I mean, we're not going to promote, as an organization, we're not going to promote one, denomination over another. That would be counterintuitive. But I think that speaks to our overall mission. Remember, we're out there making, positive changes in kids' lives that are effective over their entire lives, right? Who better to help us with that mission is a religious organization that are going to see these folks at their lowest on a regular basis. They can kind of help us make connections on organizations that really do need our help and really need our assistance and might not come to us. They're going to go to the church and ask the church for help, and the church only has limited access, funds, just like we do. So, but that's a great opportunity. Heck yeah, all day long, Graham.
Regina, would you say that the face of Kiwanis is changing? Because I can remember way back when, even before I joined, I had a partner who was also a member. And it used to be that it was CEOs who joined, it was vice presidents of companies, it was kind of the upper part of corporations and all that. And I really believe that we may have a little bit of that stigma attached, and that going after maybe different people from everywhere. You're saying from churches, but there are other organizations. You don't have to belong just to one club. You can belong to 2 or 3.
Right.
I know that I belong to Kiwanis, but I also love the Salvation Army. So there are, there are different places you can go. And I know I had a friend who always fished from the Salvation Army to have members to Kiwanis Club. So but I see the face changing. It's not the way, it's not the corporate style anymore, or at least I don't see it being that way as far as getting membership or growing membership. How do you feel about that?
Well, Diane, to be frankly honest with you, the corporate look has changed over time. I mean, there's no gold watch and a pension plan anymore, really, right? And so we're really just changing with the times as they are. But I was riding around in Tennessee, in the foothills of Tennessee, opening a club, and I was riding around with the lieutenant governor of that area. And so we stopped and we were talking to this lady about joining the club and whatnot. And we got back in the truck and he said, I would have never asked her to join my Kiwanis club. And I think when I said in the presentation, we need to really ask ourselves the hard questions. I think that's part of it. We all have a culture in our clubs, right? I get that. I mean, you can wear camo to my club meeting because that's just kind of how we are in Mississippi. It does not offend me, but we have to recognize what our club culture is, but we also need to recognize, is that club culture benefiting or hindering our community or new members to join? We've got to think about that. And so that was telltale to me when he said, I probably would have never asked that chick to join the club or whatever, because she's a stay-at-home mom, and he would have initially thought she didn't have enough money to get involved in the club. And we do that. We do that often. But yes, is the face of Kiwanis changing? Yes, I'm glad it is, because I'm gonna tell you, 40 years ago, I could not have been a member of Kiwanis.
No, certainly, no, certainly. And that's a good point. I mean, with the connections we have with the elementary school up through the college Kiwanis clubs, just keeping those young members tuned in and trying to get them to join in their early 20s would be ideal. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's always inspiring to hear it from the top. Here's what we're talking about. Roger Cummings and I, our treasurer, will be out in Salt Lake City for the KI convention. Are you going to be out there?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So hope to see you.
I'm in Amplify, so we're having our capstone. So woo.
Oh, cool. No, certainly. Yeah, our Trina Raudabush, who couldn't attend, had worked through the Amplify program. So we will award a certificate, a small donation we made in your name to Trinity Haven,
Oh,
first of a kind program providing long-term housing to LGBTQ youth in Indianapolis.
awesome. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for your energy. Look forward to seeing you in Salt Lake City, and have a happy Memorial Day, everybody. The meeting is adjourned.
I'll share my email address with Trina, and if she has anybody from the club that has questions or concerns or want to reach out, you can reach out to me.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot. You have a nice
Bye,
holiday weekend.
y'all.
All right, bye.